I will never stop smiling. Well, hello, my friends, and welcome to another coffee time. I do not have a coffee in my hand this morning. It is bright and early. I woke up in the middle of the night and just could not go back to sleep, and figured I must have had enough rest for the night. So I came on out to my living room, jumped on my laptop, and I, of course, after I sat in love for 40 minutes, but hopped on my laptop and opened up YouTube like I do on other mornings, and I came into an interesting experience. I recently did a video on Vladimir Zelensky in Ukraine and what he was the fact that in the middle of his speech he took the word "want" out of the conversation, and I thought that was actually beautiful. I wanted to share with you guys on the channel the results of that video. Within 24 hours, 10 people unsubscribed because I mentioned Ukraine and my beliefs about it. I had 2 people drop comments that were literally pushing Russian propaganda of Zelensky being a Nazi. And the only place that information is coming is from Russia. All of the independent resources from around the world don't have that view at all. That is flat out Russian propaganda. And so when I see these responses, people are like, you shouldn't, and they spew name calling and negative stuff, and I don't have time for that, so I just hide them from the channel. So you and I never have to experience that again, and that makes me smile even more. But I came out this morning and there was a comment where someone mocked me for smiling. This is war. This is not a game, right? And at the end, the last thing he said, "Stop smiling, please." He was very vehement about his please, right? He wanted me to stop smiling. Well, why would someone want someone to stop smiling? They want them to stop smiling because they want to suffer, and they want them to suffer like they are. They're in fear and anxiety, so the old saying, misery loves company. So they want to make other people who aren't miserable be miserable. They want other people who aren't focused on fearful, harmful, and hateful things to change their views and focus on fearful, harmful things. They want to be right. And they want to start telling people what they have to do. I mean, he literally told me to stop smiling, which I thought was the most ridiculous statement I've ever heard, to tell someone to stop smiling. Hey, you, that happiness thing, cut that out. Hey, you, that joy-based love, cut that out. Come back to fear where I am. Come back to this negative space. Be with me where it's terrible, right? Joshua smiled at me from the cross. If anybody had the right to be in a bad place, it was that man who had his nails through his wrists and through his ankles, pushed up on a cross, and the cross dropped into that hole and jarred him, and he kind of smirked and smiled at me, right? That's the important part of this, is that when you give up your smile, you are giving in to fear. When you give up your smile, you are empowering that which you say you hate. When you give up the smile, you are not being the outcome. You must be the change you want to see in the world. Mother Teresa said that she would never go to an anti-war rally, that if they had a peace rally, she would come. Your focus on the negative only empowers the negative. Your focus on the atrocity of war only empowers war. Why don't you focus on peace and smile? Because the reality of it is, your experience of joy within yourself is what will change the experience. See someone in pain or suffering, bring them joy, make them smile, right? When you look at the world matters, and you just sit there and you spend all of your time focusing on how bad things are, what kind of life are you living? What kind of life are you choosing to create into this world? Well, you've chosen to be miserable. Now, when you walk through life and you're miserable, what are you doing? You're making other people miserable, right? You're telling people who aren't miserable to stop smiling. That's because you are afraid. You are the one who, in the negative state. And you think that you should be right and everyone should come to be where you are. And the reality of it is if people are smiling, leave them alone. You should smile more. You should find the peace within yourself and come to the space of being love. I can sit here all day long and do video after video after video and do, right? And do. But when 10 people unsubscribe because they're so thin-skinned that they can't hear other points of view, when they have to be right, I say good riddance, goodbye. That's not the energy that I am putting out in this world, nor this channel is putting out in the world. I am quite okay that if you don't agree with me, and I can have an open communication and discussion, love it. Absolutely love it. Second, you start dictating what I or anybody else should do or will do, or telling us we have to stop smiling. It's a waste of my time, because you're in such a state that you've chosen to be miserable. You've chosen to stay in a state of anger and fear and anxiety, and I've chosen to bring love and peace and joy into the world. And I walk through life and I watch people around me smile. I watch people walk up to me and talk to me and have funny conversations. The pizza guy shows up, and a lot of times pizza people will show up at houses and they'll be like, "Thank you, here's your pizza," and they leave. I get these knowing, joyful smiles. How you been? What's going on? And we have a communication, right? Because I smile. If you're not smiling, you're telling the world sucks. Cut that out, because the world is a product of your belief. And I've told this story many times about sitting at a table with someone who thought the restaurant was terrible, and I sat at the same table and said how much I love that restaurant. And we both had our experience. He had a terrible experience. I had a magnificent experience. And when that happened, I was single, and I got a phone number from the waitress, too. It was a great experience, right? But I will never stop smiling, because when I sat down at that table, the waitress literally said, "I'm having a bad day, and it's going to reflect in the service." And I heard it, and I was like, well, I'm going to change that, right? How did I change it? I gave her love and positivity. I said, "I'm so sorry that you're having a tough day. Why don't you sit down? I'll get you some dinner, and I'll take care of your tables." And she laughed, and we started joking, and I started teasing and playing with her and having fun with her. And what happened? I had a great meal, a wonderful conversation, and when I sat down at that table, there were 2 negative people. When I stood up from that table, there was 1 negative person. And there's me, the waitress, and the person across from me. And he was negative and mad the entire time. And he walked out of there hating it all the more. So the question is, why do you want to perpetuate your fear? Why do you want to perpetuate the anxiety? And why do you feel you need to have others feel as miserable as you do? Because it's non-productive. It doesn't do a thing to be miserable. It doesn't do a thing to pine for a desire for it to change. It only does a thing when you put a smile on your face and say, I am changing it. I am bringing joy and love to this experience. I am creating an outcome that is much more to the liking, that makes me smile, and to make the people in that experience smile. That waitress was smiling when I left, right? Because I smiled at her. So if you want me to stop smiling, that is a futile effort, my friend. This guy here will never stop smiling. You have a great day, and I will talk to you soon. See ya. Bye.
Thank you so much for watching. The John of New channel is solely funded by your generous donations and purchases of private readings and merchandise. To help out, go to johnofnew.com or use the donation link in the description below. Don't forget to like, subscribe, and share.